Hey guys, what's up? It's Melissa. Welcome back to my channel. My phone is ringing. Why? What do you want from me? If you're wondering why I have you guys zoomed in so closely, because today I'm going to talk to you about this little guy right here, my little friend. My septum piercing. I just got this done. What is today? On Thursday, and today's Saturday. So I got this done 2 days ago. So I really just wanted to talk to you guys about my experience and the pain and the cost and all of that stuff while it's still fresh in my memory. I've wanted to get my septum pierced for a really long time, so I finally just went out and did it. Okay, so the first thing I want to talk about is the septum piercing in general and kind of where it's pierced and all that stuff. So I went in and asked questions, and I just went ahead and did it that same day. My first question was to them, like, where you get it pierced. Does that make sense? Like, where on your nose? Usually they just put the jewelry in the standard like 16 gauge 10 millimeter in your nose, and then as far as where it sits on your nose, that just all depends on your sweet spot. So what your sweet spot is that is where they're going to place your septum piercing. So the piercer will go ahead and feel around in your nose, and they're looking for the spot that isn't cartilage. They pierce it through like a really thin little piece of skin in your nose called your sweet spot, and I don't think everyone has those, but where it is in your nose just depends on you, so that's where your piercing will sit. Eventually when this heals, and I think the healing process is about 6 to 8 weeks, they said. So when my piercing heals, I ordered already a bunch of jewelry for it, and I literally have only had this for 2 days. But let me show you guys a picture. This girl, I like how, okay. Okay. So, like on this girl, I like how her piercing is kind of smaller and just tucked in more. This piercing, I kind of like how the balls are closer to like the nostril. So eventually when mine heals, I ordered a smaller ring, and I also ordered a curved barbell. So I'm going to do a video on that if you guys want to see. I'll go ahead and change out my septum. When it's time, I'll go ahead and film a video so you guys can see me switching it out and see the difference. As far as this is just the standard 16 gauge 10 millimeter piece of jewelry that usually most piercers will put in your nose when you get it done. As far as my experience, I went in there, the cost was about 60 bucks, and the guy just had me look straight at him. He stuck his fingers up my nose to find the sweet spot, and then he took the clamps and literally just clamped right there and then stuck the needle straight through. And how they put the piercing in is the piece of jewelry has like a needle on the end, and they kind of just like take the needle out and then hook in the jewelry and then twist on the balls. So pain-wise, I thought this piercing was gonna hurt for some reason, just because the last piercing that I actually had done was 2 years ago, and I actually got my nipples pierced, and at a scale of 1 to 10, that was probably about a 10 or 11. I'm not even kidding you. The first one didn't hurt, but the second one hurt even worse because you like knew what's coming. So the last piercing I got done was that, so I was kind of comparing it to that. So I was like, oh crap, is this gonna like be as painful as that? And literally he was just like, okay, breathe in, breathe out very slowly, and then stuck it through, and it didn't hurt at all. Maybe like, well, 1 out of 10, if anything, just like the initial like kind of shock of a needle going through your skin. But other than that, it didn't hurt at all. So as soon as you get it pierced, your eyes will start to water. You will know this if you have like a nose piercing, that's just a reaction that your body has. It was super quick, super easy, super painless. It should not cause you pain at all if they're going in the sweet spot. I did have a nose hoop in, and I went ahead and swapped it out for a stud. Some people can pull off the hoop and the piercing. I just think my nose is a little bit big. I got a big nose, y'all, so I just didn't want so much going on. So as soon as my new jewelry comes in, I'm going to put in a smaller hoop, and then I'm going to see if maybe I can put my other hoop back in, but I kind of like the look of the septum and just the stud. As far as pain after the piercing, I've only had this for 2 days, and honestly, the first day I forgot I got it pierced because it wasn't really painful. It wasn't like throbbing or anything, and I went to itch my nose like this, and it hurt so bad. So just be aware of your piercing when you're changing your clothes. Like if you're taking off your top, you don't want to like snag it. I haven't done that yet, but I have heard people doing that. As far as like around the nose, probably yesterday it was a little more tender right about here, but right up in here is kind of where it's a little tender, so if you push on it, it's like a bruise. You know, if you poke a bruise, it doesn't really hurt, but it's like just tender. I don't know. The piercing, I think I already said this, was 60 bucks with the jewelry. And then I went ahead and tipped my piercer. It's always a good idea to tip your piercer or tattoo artist. It's just common courtesy. And if you're thinking about getting a piercing, I suggest maybe you look around or just get information, because I just don't think you should just go somewhere random just because you want it done now. Just do your research. I work with a girl who went and got like some ear piercings from the guy that did my septum, and I was like, hey, where do you usually go? And she just had all good things to say about this piercer and how professional he was. So I was like, all right, going there. Q-tips are going to be your best friend in this process because it's really easy to just like get up in there and just clean your nose. One thing I do have to say is I am still a little bit sick, so I still have a little bit of runny nose and stuff, and I'm still kind of weirded out about how I'm going to blow my nose. So I don't have an answer for that yet, but as soon as it heals, I'll let you guys know how it is to blow your nose with the septum in. As far as cleaning, just use a salt spray or saline salt spray and just put it on the Q-tip and get up in there and clean it. As for me, I use antibacterial soap. If you're going that route, you just want to make sure there's no fragrance in there, there's no moisturizers, there's no deodorants, because you don't want to irritate your piercing. But what I do is wash my hands. You always want to make sure your hands are clean before you clean your piercing or you touch it, flip it up, flip it down, all that stuff. So what I do is make sure my hands are washed, and then I go ahead and run some hot water, and then I pump a little bit, like a squirt of the soap in my hand, and then take a Q-tip, run it under the hot water, and then kind of like lather up the soap and then get in there. Another thing you want to do is you want to make sure that your balls on your piercing are tight, or you're just going to lose a ball and you're going to be upset. I haven't had mine loosen up at all, but I always just check it just in case, especially if you're like flipping it up and down. When you first get your piercing done, you should either pick to keep it down or flip it up. For the sake of this video, I flipped it down, but I'm going to flip it up after this because I'm not allowed to have like this piercing at my job. So I'm going to flip it up and kind of just leave it up there until it heals, because when it's healing, you don't want to be irritating it by flipping it down, flipping it up. So my piercer said go ahead and take off the balls before you flip it up. So I did that the other day, but I actually found out I can flip it up with the balls. So you're just going to want to make a face like this. You want to be careful because it's still tender. It helps to do this like right after you clean it because it kind of lubes the area. So right after you clean it, go ahead and do that, and literally, sorry, I know I'm putting my fingers in my nose, and you just flip it up, and I hope my nose doesn't have any boogers in there. So literally, it is that easy to hide it being up in your nose. It's kind of like a ticklish feeling. So if you guys have any questions at all, go ahead and leave comments down below with your question, and I'll try to answer it as best as I can. And as soon as this baby heals, I'll do an update for you guys and change out my jewelry, and you guys can see the smaller jewelry in my septum piercing. Go ahead and follow me on Instagram and Snapchat so you can see my shenanigans, I guess. Hope you guys are having an awesome day, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.